Our website, KSPR.com. A young Ozarks woman was brutally killed 26 years ago. Her killer was free for decades. Now her murder mystery may be solved due to DNA.
KSPR's Emily Rittman reports detectives weren't the only people cracking open this old case.
21-year-old Judy Spencer posed in this picture with the man she wanted to marry 26 years ago.
At the time she was dating him, we felt that he was too old for her.
Donald Doc Nash was almost twice Judy's age, but Judy's family decided to support her.
It was the biggest mistake she ever made in her life, meeting him.
The family says they never thought that less than 1 year into Nash's courtship of their baby sister, they'd never see him or her again.
I remember exactly where I was standing. I remember exactly what I did. I dropped to the floor.
The family remembers everything about the day Judy's body was found in the hole of an old torn-down outhouse.
This is where her life ended,
right.
Somewhere in this area, possibly.
The grass is still brown around the spot where Judy Spencer's partially nude body was dumped.
To know what happened here is overwhelming.
Spencer was strangled with her own shoelace and shot in the neck with a shotgun.
She was, looking forward to having a family of her own, being happily married with a white picket fence.
Instead, her clothing was found on a fence near her body off of Highway 32 near the old Bethlehem school.
I believe it was jealousy, rage, anger.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could have done what was done to her without having all of that in them.
Mm-hmm.
Two farmers followed drag marks from Judy's heels to the spot where she was buried under brush.
Small towns, a lot of times they just have these spots where everybody knows everybody goes, and I think that's what this was at the time.
Judy Spencer's family always thought Judy's fiance, Doc Nash, was responsible, but police never found the shotgun or made any arrests.
Didn't understand why. Why couldn't they solve this? There's no perfect murder.
The years passed. Newspaper headlines mentioned new tips from time to time, but still no arrests, no charges.
I've contacted him, some just to keep the point sharp, to remind him of who we are and who Judy was.
Every year, the family would post poems reminding the killer, community, and law enforcement they still wanted answers. 26 years later, they got the call they'd been waiting for.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I started to say. Wow.
Wow.
Just the information they'd wanted for 2 decades.
My dad always said, when God's ready for us to know, then we'll know. And we think God has decided.
The family believes God's plan included a classroom full of strangers and a conversation inside a prison in Licking.
And she goes, well, my sister-in-law was murdered 25 years ago.
Michael Bowersox is the warden in Licking. He also teaches forensic science at Drury University's Kabul campus. Judy Spencer's sister-in-law works for Bowersox.
Went back to her and said, do you think the family would mind if I taught a class and used this as a course study?
A project for his students, taking a new look at the evidence in Judy's murder.
That's interesting.
I'd never seen that before.
About 20 Drury University students cared so much they became obsessed with Judy's case.
A lot of late nights with us getting together and having all the files highlighted.
Actual hands-on, a lot of reading, a lot of thinking, and we actually just retraced the police steps and did some interviews with folks, both who were interviewed by the police 20-some years ago, plus additional individuals.
The class even went back to the crime scene to map out Judy's final moments.
Each of us theorized on our own what we thought, and we weren't allowed to persuade each other.
Each student came up with a list of 5 to 6 people they thought were involved based on evidence.
They suggested that the police look at, and we passed that on to the family.
At the top of almost every student's list, Doc Nash, the man the family had long suspected.
It was pretty much the same thing that we had been told through all the years.
But this new attention to a 26-year-old case may have been the break the Spencer family had been waiting for.
Put a little pressure on law enforcement.
In March, authorities arrested Doc Nash and charged him with capital murder for Judy's death. DNA tests, not around in 1982, showed Nash's DNA under Judy's fingernails. A finding police say suggests a struggle.
Everything works for a reason, and for whatever night she got that DNA under her fingernails.
I was flabbergasted. I just was speechless.
The Highway Patrol isn't crediting Bowersox class with breaking the case, and they say they don't need it.
The credit also goes to the family. You have 2 or 3 individuals that for 25 years have been fighting this battle.
We had no idea what impact it was going to bring.
What the students can't bring the Spencer family is closure. Instead, the beginning of a new chapter, because Judy's case has changed even more lives 26 years after her death.
Even me,
A prison warden found a soft spot.
personal lives, I just don't, get attached, but I got very attached.
3 students found their calling.
And I'm working on becoming a victim's advocate.
And I agree with Rhonda. I would like to see myself at the forensic science lab also.
And a family surrounded by pain found hope in complete strangers.
It'll be good to have somebody paying for what they did instead of knowing that they were sitting down to Sunday dinner like the rest of us.
Wow, fascinating story.
It is.
The
It is
Highway
amazing.
Patrol says the class's investigation did not have any bearing on the
We
case.
heard Emily say that as well, but the Spencer family agrees, but they say the class kept the spotlight on their case, which may have been just crucial in getting it solved.
Very important, and Donald Nash will be in court in Dent County next week. And one important thing to mention here is that this class has now been contacted to help out with other cold cases, so it may continue.
They gave it an in-depth look.